All right, it's trouble in paradise for Joe and Kamala. A new book is dishing out the dirt on how the president truly feels about his number two. And get this, the big guy finds Kamala Harris to be annoying. Yes, no kidding. So does half the country. Joe telling friends that Kamala was a, quote, work in progress in his early days in the White House. Biden is also frustrated that Kamala's husband, Doug, had been complaining about her policy portfolio, which included the border crisis. According to the book, quote, Biden was annoyed he hadn't asked Harris to do anything he hadn't done as vice president, and she'd begged him for the voting rights assignment. It's been a rough go for Kamala. Numerous staffers have run for the doors, and she can't stop making awkward moments like this.
You need to go and need to be able to get where you need to go to do the work and get home. When we talk about the children of the community, they are children of the community. The significance of the passage of time. So when you think about it, there is great significance to the passage of time.
You're gonna literally see the craters on the moon with your own eyes.
Oh my goodness.
With your own eyes, I'm telling you.
Oh, my gosh. All right, Jesse. Should Biden have expected more when he chose her based on identity politics?
Anyone would have expected more. I think back to the previous relationships that I've covered of presidents and vice presidents. You never heard about the drama until like the 8th year or the last year or even after they had left office. Gore only came out against Bill Clinton when he lost and said the Lewinsky thing might have cost me. And then Cheney got a little perturbed at W about the Scooter Libby thing at the way end of that presidency. Right. Yeah. And then Biden kind of sulked when Barack Obama endorsed Hillary, but that didn't even really come out until way later. And then we all know what happened with Pence and Trump.
What happened?
I don't remember. We don't need to get into that. But this happened right away. Like first year, second year, there's drama. Now, a sexist would say that it's because she's a woman, but I don't say that. I say it's because she's Kamala Harris.
Thank you, Jesse.
You're welcome.
That was very clear. All right, Dana, you know, even the White House admits that her inner circle is not serving her well. But shouldn't she know better than to have an inner circle that hates her and is constantly running for the door?
Well, I don't know if she has a choice, right? Do you remember when she dropped out of the presidential race before there were any votes? And do you remember there was this long, I think they had 50 people on the record who had worked for her saying how terrible it had been. So I think also as a president, if you're dealing with the fact that she's in the news every day in a negative way, that's not what you signed up for. Okay, so I can understand that. I think the thing that really got to me about this story is that the second gentleman weighed in.
Yes.
I'm like, oh, no, sir. I think that you should just say, I'm very happy to be here. Thank you so much. What would you like me to do? Ribbon cutting tomorrow? Yeah. I'm on top of it. No problem. And if he wants to advise her in private, of course you should do that. But you cannot complain on her behalf. Don't ever do that. I would be mortified.
Yes,
I would be mortified.
I think any strong woman would be mortified. You know, Harold, the fact is that the White House has been unable to describe what she's been up to. And now that we've had this incredible number of people crossing the border, 2.4 million, and that's her bailiwick, I mean, shouldn't the White House be more involved and say, you know, Kamala, you get to it?
You would think so. Look, it's no secret these two, either their staffs or the two of them, the president and vice president, have not quite found their groove. And they need to try to find it sooner rather than later. I think President Biden has a unique perspective, as the article suggests, because he was, and we all know, he was the vice president. Right. And he was asked to do things. And frankly, the job of the vice president is to do the things the president wants you to do and to do it with competence, enthusiasm, and as much political savvy as you can. I think the jury's still out on whether or not Vice President Harris is tackling the challenges with.
They've deliberated. They went home.
I'm a diplomat. I think the jury's still out about whether or not she's doing and tackling those tasks that way. I think if I were on her team, the only thing I would say to her every morning, at breakfast, at lunch, at coffee, at tea, at dinner, whatever people do, is we've got to get a border security plan. If we get a border security plan, all the other things that we've not done right will go by. People will forget that, and we will not only help ourselves, but help the president. So that'd be my advice.
They would be really benefit from having you at the White House.
Yes,
but I'm glad you're here instead.
Yes, and
you
so
do more
Greg,
work here.
So, Greg, here's the bottom line issue. I mean, she should have known when she sat down with Lester Holt that she wasn't really prepared for any questions about the border. You would think she'd go back and say, you know what, that's it. I'm going to light the candle at both ends, and I'm going to be on top of
Nah,
this.
she thought she did fine. That's the cruisers in life. They have such high self-esteem. They never feel bad when they screw up. I envy that. I envy being like Jesse. Jesse's like, you know what? I think I did okay. But you know what? It's like the jury's still out because the jury left the courthouse. They ran screaming from her. They're not coming back.
Trying to be a diplomat.
I know you are. And the president claims he's tired of his number twos. Number two. I think this is a great strategy for him. You don't want a VP who outshines you. That's hard to find. I mean, that's easy to find for Joe Biden. So you have this was tough finding somebody who doesn't outshine him. This was a triumph for Biden to find Kamala Harris. She's the least competent person on earth. I mean, you can compare it to like Mike Pence. If something happened to Trump or he had to resign, you could rely on Pence. He looks like a vice president. But, she's like, nobody wants anything to happen to Biden, right? Because then she's in charge. But to the original point, she's a blueprint example of a terrible hire made for noble but naive reasons. She's no different than Sam Brinkman, right? The luggage thief, nuclear scientist, or Bankman-Fried. They're the fraudster because their gross incompetence was cloaked or shielded by wokeness. So that's what you end up with. You had somebody that ticked all the boxes except qualifications. And if you questioned, God forbid you questioned her qualifications, you'd be run over by the steamroller of bigoted accusations. I mean, she even called her boss a racist on a debate, and they still rewarded her.
Yeah, and then he wonders why they don't get along.
Yes.
Okay.
Hey, Sean Hannity here. Hey, click here to subscribe to Fox News YouTube page and catch our hottest interviews and most compelling analysis. You will not get it anywhere else.